Houses are built to live in, and not to look on. Therefore let use be preferred before uniformity, except where both may be had. Leave the goodly fabrics of houses for beauty only, to the enchanted palaces of the poets, who build them with small cost. He that builds a fair house upon an ill seat committeth himself to prison. Neither do I reckon it an ill seat, only where the air is unwholesome, but likewise where the air is unequal, as you shall see many fine seats set upon a nap of ground, environed with higher hills round about it, whereby the heat of the sun is pent in, and the wind gathereth as in troughs, so as you shall have, and that suddenly, as great diversity of heat and cold as if you dwelt in several places. Neither is it ill air only that maketh an ill seat, but ill ways, ill markets, and if you will consult with Momus, ill neighbor. I speak not of many more, want of water, want of wood, shade, and shelter, want of fruitfulness and mixture of grounds of several natures, want of prospect, want of level grounds, want of places at some near distance for sports of hunting, hawking, and races, too near the sea, too remote, having the commodity of navigable rivers or the discommodity of their overflowing, too far off from great cities, which may hinder business, or too near them, which lurcheth all provision, and maketh everything dear, where a man hath a great living laid together, and where he is scanted, all which, as it is impossible perhaps to find together, so it is good to know them, and think of them, that a man may take as many as he can, and if he have several dwellings, that he sort them so that what he wanteth in the one, he may find in the other. Lucullus answered Pompey well, who, when he saw his stately galleries and rooms so large and lightsome in one of his houses, said, Surely an excellent place for summer, but how do you in winter? Lucullus answered, Why, do you not think me as wise as some fowl are, that ever change their abode towards the winter? To pass from the seat to the house itself, we will do as Cicero doth in the Orator's Art, who writes books de orator, and a book he entitles Orator, whereof the former delivers the precepts of the art, and the latter the perfection. We will therefore describe a princely palace, making a brief model thereof. For it is strange to see, now in Europe, such huge buildings as the Vatican and Escurial and some others be, and yet scarce a very fair room in them. First, therefore, I say you cannot have a perfect palace except you have two several sides, a side for the banquet as it is spoken of in the book of Hester, and a side for the household, the one for feasts and triumphs, and the other for dwelling. I understand both these sides to be not only returns, but parts of the front, and to be uniform without, though severally partitioned within, and to be on both sides of a great and stately tower, in the midst of the front, that, as it were, joineth them together on either hand. I would have on the side of the banquet, in front, one only goodly room above stairs, of some 40 foot high, and under it a room for dressing or preparing place at times of triumphs. On the other side, which is the household side, I wish it divided at the first into a hall and a chapel, with a partition between, both of good state and bigness, and those not to go all the length, but to have at the further end a winter and a summer parlor both fair. And under these rooms a fair and large cellar, sunk under ground, and likewise some privy kitchens, with butteries and pantries and the like. As for the tower, I would have it 2 stories, of 18 foot high apiece, above the 2 wings, and a goodly leads upon the top, railed with statues interposed, and the same tower to be divided into rooms, as shall be thought fit. The stairs likewise to the upper rooms, let them be upon a fair open newel, and finely railed in with images of wood, cast into a brass color, and a very fair landing place at the top. But this to be, if you do not point any of the lower rooms for a dining place of servants. For otherwise you shall have the servants' dinner after your own, for the steam of it will come up as in a tunnel. And so much for the front. Only I understand the height of the first stairs to be 16 foot, which is the height of the lower room. Beyond this front is there to be a fair court, but 3 sides of it, of a far lower building than the front. And in all the 4 corners of that court, fair staircases, cast into turrets on the outside, and not within the row of buildings themselves. But those towers are not to be of the height of the front, but rather proportionable to the lower building. Let the court not be paved, for that striketh up a great heat in summer, and much cold in winter. But only some side alleys with a cross, and the quarters to graze, being kept shorn, but not too near shorn. The row of return on the banquet side, let it be all stately galleries, in which galleries let there be 3 or 5 fine cupolas in the length of it, placed at equal distance, and fine colored windows of several works. On the household side, chambers of presence and ordinary entertainments with some bedchambers, and let all 3 sides be a double house, without thorough lights on the sides, that you may have rooms from the sun, both for forenoon and afternoon. Cast it also that you may have rooms, both for summer and winter, shady for summer and warm for winter. You shall have sometimes fair houses so full of glass, that one cannot tell where to become, to be out of the sun or cold. For inbowed windows, I hold them of good use. In cities, indeed, upright do better in respect of the uniformity towards the street, for they be pretty retiring places for conference. And besides, they keep both the wind and sun off, for that which would strike almost through the room doth scarce pass the window. But let them be but few, 4 in the court on the sides only. Beyond this court, let there be an inward court, of the same square and height, which is to be environed with the garden on all sides, and in the inside cloistered on all sides upon decent and beautiful arches, as high as the first story. On the understory towards the garden, let it be turned to a grotto, or a place of shade or estivation, and only have opening and windows towards the garden, and be level upon the floor, no whit sunken underground, to avoid all dampishness. And let there be a fountain, or some fair work of statues, in the midst of this court, and to be paved as the other court was. These buildings to be for privy lodgings on both sides, and the end for privy gallery. Whereof you must foresee that one of them be for an infirmary, if the prince or any special person should be sick, with chambers, bedchamber, antechamera, and recamera joining to it. This upon the second story. Upon the ground story, a fair gallery open, upon pillars, and upon the third story likewise, an open gallery upon pillars to take the prospect and freshness of the garden. At both corners of the further side, by way of return, let there be 2 delicate or rich cabinets, daintily paved, richly hanged, glazed with crystalline glass, and a rich cupola in the midst, and all other elegancy that may be thought upon. In the upper gallery, too, I wish that there may be, if the place will yield it, some fountains running in divers places from the wall, with some fine avoidances. And thus much for the model of the palace, save that you must have, before you come to the front, 3 courts. Green court plain, with a wall about it, a second court of the same, but more garnished with little turrets or rather embellishments, upon the wall, and a third court, to make a square with the front, but not to be built, nor yet enclosed with a naked wall, but enclosed with terraces, let it aloft and fairly garnished on the 3 sides, and cloistered on the inside with pillars, and not with arches below. As for offices, let them stand at distance, with some low galleries, to pass from them to the palace itself.